With this, I open the floor for question and answers.
Yeah. I have two questions. One is to Professor Vitana. You are speaking about joint warfare. I mean, this joint warfare, airline battle, etc. The concepts are there and practiced by the Americans way back during the Cold War, where Army, Navy, Air Force, or the helicopters, all these are being used. So what you brought out is nothing new. Of course, maybe to Sri Lanka. Of course, we have shortcomings because of equipment and facility capacities. But nevertheless, at our levels also, the Navy, Air Force, and the Land Force were not in all operations, but were integrated. I mean, you can't say it's a highly classic air mobile operation, air mobile and naval operation, but its concepts are there. And what you mentioned, I mean, there are a lot of concepts and practices that have been at the moment practiced by the Western countries. Thank you. Yeah, your comments on this, please.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, my argument mainly is to emphasize the importance of the awareness between the tri-forces. In fact, I have seen many critics arguing that people didn't have the same understanding about the issues at the battle space. So if we can develop some way of acculturation so that Army, Navy and Air Force people can be trained and developed in a similar framework so that they can understand the battle space and understand the important implications of working together. Of course, technological innovation and operational innovation were there in the literature. Even in the US, in the late 20th century, there were lots of arguments about the importance of jointness. My contribution is that by looking at the importance of behaving as a group who have similar values, beliefs and assumptions about the tactics and about the strategies of warfare, it would have been much better and we will be able to deliver as a joint effort much better.
I have another question to Commander Prasanga about this climate change and security. As you mentioned, of course, there is climate change. It will affect, as a result of climate, there will be severe weather changes, wind, rain, severe droughts, etc. And of course, the temperature has gone up, but nevertheless, the sea level rise has not been confirmed yet. And you mentioned that 1 meter rise. Of course, 1 meter rise will, inundate most of our Jaffna area and a lot of other areas. It's not confirmed. And I think you must speak to Professor Punyavardhan, etc., who is doing research on that. Even he attributed the present, last year, even the drought and the previous rains, he said they are not due to climate change. So there are some research being done at present, the effects of climate change for our country. Of course, due to severe weather, hydrometeorological aspects, there will be floods. Of course, Navy, Army, search and rescue groups will have to be, could be involved, have to stand by, etc., etc. And of course, relief. The other aspect is I can understand how piracy will increase. How do you link piracy to climate change? Please, thank you.
Thank you, sir. That with accordance with the mass migration, that means that that with the climate change, all the food security and the epidemics and other resource scarcity. Because of that, there would be facing a possibility to move in the human species into one place to another place, to adapt themselves, and one thing that is the migration. The second thing, people who could not adapt to the climate change on land, they might be jump into the water to adapt it from other hand. So the piracy, when it's come to the Somalian piracy, the illegal fishermen, they convert into the piracy. So in IPCC report are clearly mentioning there may be in future that incremental of illegal fishing. So illegal fishermen can be converted into the piracy, can be converted into the smugglers, they can be converted into the drug traffickers. So this process may be followed with that. In that case, there may be possibility with the Sri Lanka having southeast corner that highest, that world busiest traffic separation scheme. With that, there may be possibility to increase the piracy.
I think we are going to take 2-3 questions together and then, take the answer otherwise because there is not much time. And if you can keep your question, short and crisp.
Yeah, may I be permitted, madam? I'm Chandan Aliyana Pataman. I said it over and over again in the morning. I'm a lawyer by profession and a President's Counsel. My question through you to go to the Admiral Colombage. You have mentioned about transforming from conventional to unconventional. We have seen that sometime back those days when we were young, but during the war, that the naval aircraft is put to the water until it returns, it communicates with the land, but first for the base. Then there had been Joint Operations Command. But later on, we have seen that even though the ship was attacked or surrounded, there was no time, no support has come from Colombo because the messages had to go from here and point to point, and then the other services of another service has to come, like a gunship or aircraft. So how do you see the importance of communicating in a situation like that for rescue or for the security of that particular naval craft?
Yeah. We'll take 2-3 questions.
Good afternoon, sir. Question is to the Admiral Colombage again. So you rightly pointed out the Navy reciprocating action, the LTT operation scenarios. We went from the conventional into non-conventional methods of operations. And also pointed out how the Navy developed and at the latter stages. It was rather synergy. It was like competition between the services. We commonly achieved one goal, but it was like within the services. But when we think of the future aspects on these synergy operations, will be a doctrine for these services to act together on this synergy operation? Because if everyone knows, because independent operations and the synergetic operations have much more effect. Because combined operation, we call it joint operations, but once it's a synergic operation at last, so how can we achieve that, sir?
Any more question? Yeah.
Thank you very much, Admiral Colombage, for the sharing of your experience and also lessons learned with a very frank and open presentation. Also, I would suggest that in any future campaigns, a little bit more or even confidential level collaboration and sharing information with the regional countries is also very important. For the benefit of many audience today, I would like to express that in 2007 or 6, Maldives Coast Guard intercepted the vessel Sri Krishna, and we sank militarily. Maybe it's the first time that Maldives Coast Guard engaged with any terrorist boat, and we gave the terrorists to the Sri Lankan Navy to interrogate. If we had that information beforehand, we would have been looking to those vessels more advanced, and that might be a success well in advance. So, but still, I think those are the hard lessons as maritime forces we have learned. And it's the same situation in my country as well. To understand why a maritime force is important for island nations like ours. I also would like to suggest to Captain Anthony that your total maritime surveillance concept is very good. But should we not include the eyes and ears of fishermen